All right, guys, so I just wanted to show you my interactive student notebook. It's just a basic, 50-cent notebook that you can get anywhere, and you can see how thick it is. And I've tried to organize it by grade level because when I was an instructional coach, I had to go to different grade levels. So I kind of have it organized that way, but you guys will probably do organize yours by skill. So if you notice in my presentation that I shared with you, you can do this however you want, but the way that was originally recommended was on the left side is the output side. So that's where your students will work with any of the information that you give them. And then on the right hand side is the input. So any notes, questions, things like that you give them to do or write down for their reference would go on the right side. But obviously you can do whichever way works for you to flip it. I've had teachers do all kinds of ways. This is another cool tip. You can actually print on sticky notes. And so you can actually download a template that gives you 6 boxes, and you lay the sticky notes on that page and feed them through your printer where you would put special paper or something. You don't put it in the regular paint tray or paint tray. Sorry, I've been painting. Can you tell by my paint on my hands? So I paint on the brain, but you wouldn't put it in the regular paper tray. But this is great for on this one, I had the EQ printed on there for a focus question. But anyways, so these are my notes on the input side that I took when I went to an interactive student notebooking training. And then the output is where they engage with the material, like I just said. All right, so now this is just a good example of an activity, and these are not printed sticky notes. I just wrote these on there, but these are 2 ways to divide. And so what you would have given your students here is division by partitioning. They drew a picture of what it looked like, and then you flip up the sticky note, and that actually says, has a problem that they can solve using that. And then division by measurement. So we have another visual where we use tally marks, and then there's another word problem that I wrote that would make sense for using this method to solve it. So just some different ideas. We also have a lesson essential question that you could have the kids type or write down, or you could print this with the template I was talking about. And I will actually try to find one and attach it. So this is another idea for, you can glue in models. So if they have disposable textbooks, like the ones that they actually write in, they can actually cut out the section that explains what to do, whatever strategy you're working on, and just paste that in here and work from there. And then use this side to maybe create their own problems, develop their own strategies, whatever it is that you want them to do. So this is another good interactive student notebook strategy that you can use, or tool you can use. This is just a flip book, and I just cut 1, 2, 3. It looks like 3 sheets of paper. So this would be set like this. And then 3 sheets of paper in half longwise, and from top to bottom, and then folded them over so that they're uneven and they make these little tabs basically. And you'll see when I share some other interactive student notebook stuff that this is actually really great. I didn't fill this one out, but obviously, so using a model is one strategy for division, and they, under this flap, would show a picture of how they would do that. Using base 10 blocks. And then this one is also using a model, but using some counters, number line, use repeated subtraction, and use inverse operations. That one I left as the biggest tab, which is something you might want to think about, because this one's more abstract and might need a little bit more guidance from you as the teacher on how to record their thinking in that model. So I gave them a little bit more space for that. This was another favorite activity that I would go around and teach my teachers at my school, using a fraction fringe. And then on this side is just basically my line of learning for how I can use this. And so this I would do the same thing. So as you can see, I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colors. Again, cut them in half, top to bottom, and folded them over so that I actually would get multiple fraction fringes out of this set of paper. So I would get 4 out of these colors to give the students. And you'll see there's one for thirds up here, and then this is for halves. So what you do is the black is the hole, and we always tell them we don't cut the hole. So we put the hole off to the side and we don't cut the hole. And then the next one is showing how we could take that half or that hole and cut it in half and get 2 equal sides. One of the 8 mathematical practices is attend to precision, and fractions is one of those where you really want them to attend to precision too, because if these got really off, they wouldn't be able to visualize exactly what half of this whole is, if that makes sense. So then the next line is fourths. You can see it's cut into 4 equal pieces. Then eighths, and then 16th. 16ths is really hard for the kids, and actually, unless you're going into like 3rd grade, unless you're teaching 3rd grade or something, you actually probably wouldn't need the 16ths. But even with my 3rd and 4th graders, it was hard for them to cut the 16ths because, as you can see, they're really little fringes there. But the way we would use this is for them to find equivalent fractions. So if I told them to find the equivalent fraction in 16ths for 1/4 or 1/4, they could easily pull up this 1/4. Sorry, it's hard to do this while I'm recording with my phone in one hand. So they could easily see that 1/4 is also equivalent to 2/8 or 4/16. So I hope that makes sense and gives you just a good idea of what that is. Another great interactive notebook tool is to make pockets. So this is a vocabulary pocket, and their vocabulary cards would go in there. And then that way they always have them when they need them for whatever topic you're covering. And this is just a piece of cardstock cut and then taped along 3 edges. And you could use this for shapes or maybe fraction circles or whatever little card things you might make. Just make a pocket in their interactive student notebook so that they're always there. And then this is another little flip chart we made. It's just a half sheet of cardstock cut into thirds. And we broke this down for place value. So a picture of our 1s, our 10s, and our 100s and what those would look like. And then underneath, I didn't finish the bottom one. A lot of these were just examples for my teachers. But underneath you can see, I'll go this way, that my essential question was, how can I build a number with 10s and 1s? Oh, so that's why the 100s isn't filled out, because we were just focusing on 10s and 1s. And then you can read what that says. So this is basically walking my thought process through how I would do that. Another great idea for interactive student notebooks is you can print those graphing squares. They're just online. And this was comparing 2 graphs from a book called Tiger Math. I don't know if you're aware or familiar with it, but basically we graphed on this side and this side. One was TJ and one was Matthew. So these were 2 different tigers. And then you open it up and there is what I was showing a picture of. So they weighed exactly the same when they were born. And then I can write 16 times 3 where I did my math equals 48 ounces was what they were born at. And then I have my graph that shows that weight in pounds actually. So just another, obviously you don't have to use this book, but I like to show you that how you can use some printables and foldables inside your interactive student notebook. And I'm going to cap this video at 10 minutes, so I'll just go cover what I can, and then I'll share more with you later. So here's another little flip chart I made. The problem with using even numbers of paper is you end up with 2 flaps that are the same color. But obviously, if you need that many flaps, you know, got to do what you got to do, right? So this question was, what are some different ways to show 2-digit numbers as 10s and 1s? So here's a place value frame I could use, and there's a picture of that. Base 10 blocks, what that would look like if I use that. Place value discs, which I'll actually show you what those are later. I don't know that those are as common, but we had them at our school and they were super helpful. Showed them what snap cubes would look like, how many counters I would need. If I used an object like bears, how many would I need? And whatever other objects I wanted to use, like I used a paper clip, if you can't tell by my amazing drawing, a paper clip to show that one. And real quick, because we are at our 10 minutes, this is another fold out that you can glue into your interactive student notebooks. And this is different ways to show the number 19. So I have 10 and 9, and these are just tens frames cut and stapled in. So 10 plus 9 would be 19. Here's how I made it with my place value discs, 110, and then the 9 ones. This is how it would look in a tens frame, or sorry, not a tens frame, the place value frame. And then this is how it would look with our cubes, which most of you have seen place value cubes in your classrooms. But anyways, I will share more later. Thanks.